Good afternoon, guys. The reason I'm laughing is I'm still using Movie Maker to make my videos, and I find that funny. It's a Canadian art guy, and I want to teach you today what you'll need, and specifically what you won't need to paint like I do. It's mainly a focus on what you don't need. That list is longer, and that will save you a truckload of money to begin with. Just knowing what you actually don't need to do what I'm doing. So starting with a palette, you don't need one of these. You can save yourself $32 or $35. You just don't need one. What I did in the beginning was I made a mistake and I went and I bought one of those, I'd say about 35 years ago, and I spent at least $35 back then. And I don't know what they cost now for an acrylic palette, but the biggest problem that they have is that, especially if you scrape them and you try to clean them with a knife, the paint sticks and you can't get it off. So what do I use? I use a Tupperware lid. I don't know if you can see that. It's just a basic Tupperware lid, and even better yet, I use margarine lids or cottage cheese lids. Anything but a palette, and those you can just throw away. Just toss them when you're done. You don't have to clean them. You don't have to mess with any fuss. My trusty Tupperware lid, that I can wash off with just warm water and soap. That's it. Here is another complete waste of money. You don't need an easel. You really don't. It'll save you 98 bucks. It could, in fact, save you a lot more than $98. It could save you $150. I've seen easels as high as $300 or way more. You don't need one. What do? I'm good at painting against the wall, so I've always fixed my paintings, my canvases, or my masonite against the wall. And that takes 2, 3, at the most 4 screws. And it has to be level. But that's what I do. One more thing you don't need to worry about. You don't need an airbrush. Even though I have one, I rarely use it. And you definitely don't need an airbrush kit. You don't need all kinds of stuff like this. I'll show you what I use for airbrushing technique. And so what do I use? I use one of these. And no, I have nothing bad to say about Bob Ross. Nothing bad. He sells, I guess there's endorsed products by Bob Ross, and you can buy a Bob Ross fan brush or any of other brushes that he sells. The problem with getting a brush like this made by a major company is that it's going to cost you between $35 and $45, maybe more. This little tool that I have in my hand is what I use for practically everything that I do that softens the painting, that blends it into the background, that creates layers. This is the most important thing that you'll need to use if you're going to paint some of the paintings that I've done and the ones that I'm about to do and show you how to paint. This painting I bought at a local hardware store. I'm not sure what it cost because I had to buy 3, a package of 3. It cost me $6.97. So do the math. It cost me like $2.50 at the most for this brush. And it's my best friend. And the one thing you can do to help this, and maybe need to do, and something that I did, is that, even when you're watching TV or whatever you're doing, just to soften those bristles even more. Get them soft, 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 soft. And yeah, I know this looks lame and stuff, and like I'm not really doing anything. But this is what you need to have. A cheap, big brush is going to go a long way. And as you can see, this one's been well used, and rightfully so. So the question you must be asking right now is, how do I paint this without using this, 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 or this? Patience and time. And I guess watching what I'm about to show you in following videos, obviously you're going to need paint. And the question is, what kind of paint do you need? Obviously I'm painting with acrylic paint. There's all kinds of paint on the market, and I'm not going to endorse any specific manufacturer. What you're going to need for paint are the colors. Besides black and white, you're going to need, this is basically my kit right here. I've got blue. I'm not endorsing Winsor & Newton by all means, but this is Prussian blue. I use this a lot. I also use raw umber or burnt umber a lot in almost everything. I also use a different color of blue. Usually I'm not big on endorsing two different kinds of blue, but in this case this is cerulean blue, and also again by Winsor & Newton. Another trusty thing is crimson red. You can't go without crimson red. A big staple in my arsenal is, got a goofy name, it's called Hooker's Green. I don't know why it's called Hooker's Green, but it's indispensable. Yeah, you'll see it in all my paintings, this type of green, this hue. And lastly, you'll need cad yellow. So these primary colors I use to make every other color using black or white, and that's what you'll need. I guess the topic for debate is how good paint and what kind of quality paint do you need? And there is no minimum here. No matter what anybody says on the internet or what anybody says they do, I know that even if you wanted to get started, especially if you want to get started at doing what I'm doing and afford to do it, start with folk paint. It's got its downsides, lots of them, and I can list them all and bore you to death, but just start with something. It's as simple as going to the dollar store and buying some of these colors, and yes, your paint's going to dry out faster than mine, and yes, there's other things, many other things that you can't do with that stuff, but you can definitely achieve most of what I do using that kind of paint, believe it or not. And lastly, what kind of brushes do you need? Do you need to spend a fortune on brushes? What kind of brushes do you need? Do cheap brushes work? So again, speaking strictly from experience, I've got lots of brushes, and I find that I use primarily the same brushes all the time. And what do I use? Mainly not these. I use, I would say, 2 round tip brushes, and these would be them right there. I hope you can see them. Oh boy, yeah, there we go. So 2 of these. Why 2? Because, well, mainly because so I have one clean all the time. Don't have to always clean my brushes, and that helps. And I use a long liner like that, and I use, this is my go-to guy for detail, I use a liner. Now when it comes to all my brushes, I would say that any of these guys right here, any of these round tip brushes here, they're in the ballpark of somewhere around $7, I think between $4.95 and $6.95 at the most. The only thing I went and I splurged on was my liner. I bought this forever ago and it cost me $19. I know that was a lot of money, but to me, I'm more about details. I'm detail oriented, and if I want to capture detail, this is my go-to guy right there. That's the brush that I use for all my fine. So let's go ahead and sum up this video with what we've learned so far to this point. You won't need this, or this. You will need a few primary colors, plus remember white and black, and of course you will need some brushes. Discretion's up to you. You need that big brush that I showed you. And you will need to listen to me drone on. I know I bore myself, I think, more than I bore anybody else. but I will show you how to use those tools. Just go ahead and get those tools that you need. Forget about the stuff that you don't need. As far as raw talent, you probably got enough. I don't consider myself talented, even though I've got 40 years plus of painting and about 30 years of professional art behind my belt. So be more concerned, not worry, but be more concerned about what you need as opposed to what you don't need. It saves you money, and you just don't need all that fancy stuff that people say that you need. So for now, thanks for watching, and bear with me, my next video will show you actual practical techniques on how to paint, and we'll end with a few of my clips. Thanks.